Morning. Rainy day, not very many people, but there are people online. Let's see, we have 50 plus people online right now. And combining them with here, 65, 70-ish. It's not bad. Good morning again, and thank you very much for showing up here. It's 8:35. Let's start. We have a couple of hopefully quick announcements from our office from sponsored programs. But before that, we have also some guests coming over. So maybe, just in case you guys want to go somewhere else, let's start with you. The first thing that is on the list has to do with data management. And lots of rules around that we have experts from library and IET that they want to talk to us about this. Remember that this goes back several years, the requirement of sharing data and the intent of federal government that results of research would be made available to other researchers. In other words, really, the way I understand it, federal government is saying that they would prefer to pay for work once, basically. So when there's whatever is generated, they want researchers to make available to other interested researchers so they can build upon them, which makes a lot of sense, just taxpayers' money used properly and not pay for the same type of work over and over. So that's really the bottom line requirement. Now, how data is shared and all of that, there are lots of rules and regulations, protections coming and so on and so forth, and that's why we have two experts to talk about this. Vesla from library is here. We have been working with library for quite a number of years actually in this area. So how about if we start with Vesla and then however you want to decide the IET to get involved, your call. Vesla? Thank you very much for coming over, first of all.
Thank you for having me. So just have a PowerPoint in just a second. So my name is Vesla Ensberg. I'm the Associate Director of the Data Management Program, and we're housed in the library. And I'm going to go briefly over what kinds of services we're offering for the program. And then we'll look at two requirements. One, NSF environmental biology policy enforcement that is now in place, and then the NIH proposal for data management and sharing that is under discussion right now, and then my colleagues from IET are going to talk about a secure data platform for managing certain types of data. Okay, so what we do in our program is we assist researchers throughout their entire research cycle. So we can help them at the design stage. We prefer to see the researchers at design stage, so we can help them both with writing data management plans to accompany their proposals, but also to actually sit down and work out the nitty-gritty details that do not fit into the two-page requirements of the plans. We work with them to create data collection templates and workflows that would hopefully help them standardize the data, reduce the amount of work that they need to do at the cleaning stage, and all the way into helping them design and create databases. If we don't see the researchers during the design stage, we're happy to see them during the organization stage when they already have data and they're trying to organize the multiple files and other accompanying documentation and materials, including code. We also provide support for finding data that they need for their research. And on the flip side, we help researchers share their data when their research is complete. So, you can contact us. We have a website where you can submit your questions, or you can contact us at the data serve at ucdavis.edu email, where we are going to find the best expert on our team to address your questions. So to continue on the theme of sharing, the NSF last year started enforcing their policy for data sharing. Sorry, you need to specify NSF environmental biology, where they want the digital object identifiers.
I don't know, we're having microphone issues. It was working.
Okay, so, I think that's probably better. So for those of you who are online, if you have missed the introduction to services, so just to summarize, we help in the design stage of the research project to planning around data, and then in the organizing of the actual digital files and surrounding materials. And then we support researchers in finding data that they need for their research and in sharing data. So in terms of sharing data, the NSF Environmental Biology has last year released an enforcement of their policy in which they require publications that have been produced in from their funding, that are now listed in support of their applications, to also present a digital object identifier, or a DOI, that identifies a data set that supports the publication. So what does that actually mean? Well, they want to see the DOI that is attached to a data set that supports a publication that a researcher has produced and now cites. So how does that work? So here's the DOI. It's a unique identifier for a digital object. Those unique identifiers can be generated by data repositories. So for example, Data1, that will be particularly relevant for environmental biology. It can also be we have a campus open data repository, DASH, that also would generate those. So if you find yourself or the PI you're working with not meeting these requirements, hearing back from NSF that their data sets need DOIs, we can help find those. The way we would do that is we would search for an appropriate repository for the data set. So we want the data set to be as visible as possible. We'll try to find a subject-specific repository. If a subject-specific repository is not available, we'll see if a general repository is suitable for that, and those repositories could generate a DOI. We also have the ability to generate DOIs for an account with EasyID that we provide through the California Digital Library. There are some requirements, like the PI needs to guarantee permanence of the data set location. We can discuss those details. The general message here, though, is if the PI needs to meet this DOI requirement and they need support at the data management program, we can ensure that happens. And then just sort of to complete this workflow, the information, the DOI, goes into a data catalog called DataSite, which also makes the data more discoverable. So the research that the PI does is more visible to the community. Now, the NIH last year asked for input on their proposal on a data management and sharing plan. So the request for comments ended in December 2018. The requirements in that plan would extend beyond the current data sharing plans that are only required for data over for awards under certain amounts. And the details or the requirements within that plan are, within that policy discuss sharing the data in a community-approved or government repository, and that commitment becoming a term and a condition of the award. Now, right now, the comments are in review, so it's going to take some time to incorporate those comments and figure out exactly how to roll out this plan. So I just wanted to let you know that this is in process, and when the guidelines are finalized, if your or a PI you're working with is looking for support in finding the right location for the data, that again is something that we can help the data management program. So, so this is all from me. I'm gonna hand this to Jose.
Hi guys, pleasure to meet you. My name is Jose Boveda. I work for IET. I'm Enterprise Platform Supervisor over there. I'm joined in the room with by Ira Tarshish, who is the systems architect of the platform we're going to show you today. Thank you to Vasila, and Sponsored Programs for inviting us. We wanted to get, that's not it.
That's for Steve.
We wanted to get the source program in front of you guys so you can see that IET has been working with a bunch of folks to help streamline a lot of the data security aspects around some data requirements for your grants, specifically NIST 171. That is security controls around controlled unclassified information. It includes information, water resources, agriculture, things like that, things that are very important to our university and our PIs. So. Yeah. Almost there. I have like 21 slides and only 10 minutes, so I'm going to zoom past some of these. I just wanted to get this program in front of you to show you that it's here and available to you right now. NIST 800-171, that's a slide I was just talking about. The requirements around that, the controls around that include access control, audit guidelines, training, configuration management, and a whole host of other things that as a research group, with your research departmental IT, you may have an uphill battle to get all this stuff in place in order to secure funding for your grants. So when IT set out to build this stuff, we went through and captured a lot of initial requirements. And we also wanted to make it as easy as possible to onboard research groups. As University Central IT, we also put certain additional constraints on our project. Some of them are up here. You'll see we were targeting PIs, not grad students. So this is for projects that are well-heeled and underway. We wanted to make it as inexpensive as possible. We leveraged a pay-as-you-go model when we chose to build this on cloud, specifically Amazon Web Services. That provides, very low cost, low overhead for the group. We also wanted to limit the amount of commercial software installed on the platform. It helps us with security, and it also allows for lower costs. You don't have to pay for software that you may not be using, but someone else may be using on the platform. We were not targeting FISMA, ITAR, or HIPAA data. HIPAA obviously is pretty important, and would be great to get an environment for this, but this is not it. ITAR, obviously, stuff like DoD, we weren't targeting either. And last one that I want to mention is it's UC Davis focused. So we have had some interest on this platform from other universities. Basically, they want to jump on, and we have talked about that, but our initial scope did not include that. So this is UC Davis specific. We call it SOURCE, Secure Research Computing Environment. It was brought to you by collaboration with Frank Loge and CWEE staff members. It's a water and energy efficiency, right? The CISO, Cheryl Washington, and our Information Security Office. Campus IT, that's us. And Research Unit IT, College of Engineering has been a great partner with us for many projects and continues to be with this one. They are sort of our tip of the spear. They're the pilot program for us here. They're the component requirements. Why cloud? I spoke about this earlier, but some additional reasons that we chose to host the infrastructure for this offsite is that we have the security of it, the actual physical structure handled by another group that has all these controls in place, a lot more than we can reliably audit. Cost and ease as well, because we can roll it out and people pay for only what they use. Started in 2016 when we started scoping this, and I'll fast forward through that whole timeline because it's available now. At the end of 2018, we received independent audit attestation from Coal Fire Security Group. So that means that, you know, we got our papers. So it's safe and easy to use. Skip over these. These are the policy items. Actually, I won't skip so fast. CISO worked on drafting our internal standards. This is what we follow internally for our infrastructure and business practice. The policy, that's the one for standard operating procedures, things that we need to follow. And these are drafted by us, the standard operating procedures. I do want to touch on, well, I want to touch on how we started. This is, you know, back when we were scoping this out. We didn't come up with this whole cloth. We had a couple starting points. Amazon provided a quick start sample architecture that we were able to use, take under advisement. And Purdue also had a structure in place for something similar to this. And we used them specifically for the data airlock design, which is a splash slide for all the items that are part of this. What I do want to stress, though, is that you guys don't have to worry about a lot of this. There is a shared security model, and this one I do want to highlight. There are sort of 3 tiers here. The departmental IT, which is your group right there. So we would engage with them to help manage your particular environment. The source management team, that's us at IET, we're the ones responsible for the central providing of that service. And then Amazon is responsible for the security of the actual cloud. Any questions on this so far? Okay, great. So your research IT groups are involved, and we do work with them. I think that's what I wanted to highlight. Finally, I just want to cover some of the things that you get when you are part of the source environment. We have implemented a lot of security measures. They're all documented and attested. That includes server logs, logs for API actions, benchmarking, vulnerability scanning, network logs, access log to your data, antivirus, secure VPN access to the environment, 2-factor authentication. We all, I'm sure we've been struggling with Duo here. And finally, data ingress, egress airlocks, which is great because data does not go into or out of the system without a check and balance there. So you're not going to have unauthorized access to it. Logging as well, you know, sort of trust but verify angle to this. Log aggregation, security event monitoring, system monitoring, application monitoring, all this stuff is part of the environment and you get it as part of the system when you and your research unit sign up. And there you go. I know I skipped through a lot of this. This is our high level overview and, you know, it was twice as long as it needed to be. But easy way to find it, IT catalog. The link is there at the bottom, itcatalog.ucdavis.edu. You can do a search for secure research computing environment, and it's also under emerging services. If you want to talk to one of us, we're available to talk with. You can access that through srce@ucdavis.edu. Also, I've left my contact info in the back there, so you can reach out directly as well. So that's all I have. Willing to entertain questions. This is an awesome project that we were able to put together. It's one of those times when all the stars align, and it's something that I think we have jumped ahead of a lot of other universities to offer an attested environment that meets this NIST 171. So if you have a need for this in your grants, a higher level of security, because there are some limits in place. It's a little harder to work with as far as versus an open data center that you would use normally. So there are more controls in place by design. But it's an option for you, and you can put that into your grant proposals as part of how you want to handle your data and research. Yes.
You answered their question.
Oh, great. Yeah, prescient. I'm prescient. So yeah, srce@ucdavis.edu, the actual project you can find on the IT catalog. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. How do you bring this back? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vesla and Jose. You heard a lot of information. There's a quiz after this, I think, but no, Jose told me no. But no, seriously, I mean, the take-home message that you want to have from here to help your PIs. The issue has to do with obviously sharing data and requirements of awards that more and more the requirement is there that the data should be shared. Lots of security issues were discussed. When you share data, obviously you want it to be secured. So what you want to take from here and sharing with your PIs, I understand that probably not very many of the researchers might be online. It's mostly the support. You want to make sure that if you hear anything about data sharing or any of these projects that include data sharing, these are the type of things you have to think about. Now you know where the resources are, and you don't have to know a whole lot of really more information than that. You just want to go to the experts and get help. That's why it is really. And as Jose said, obviously the costs, if you plan for it properly, you can put it in your budget and take care of it upfront. So that's what I understand from all of this, and thank you very much for both of you. Any questions for either of them, either from here or online? Again, I know that the issues are extremely technical, but all you have to know is that the resources are on campus to help you navigate all of these areas. Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next thing. I think we have updates from the proposal team, Alisa and Marlene. They want to talk about a couple of issues. And okay.
Good morning. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Elisa Bunn from the proposals team, and this is
Marlene Mushin. Morning.
also from the proposals team. And we wanted to share with you this morning that based on campus feedback, we've come up with a new tool to give you a bit more information on senior and key personnel definitions and descriptions, how to include them on your proposals. We've had a lot of questions. For instance,
One that's come up a lot is for consultants, and often people want to use other UC employees as a consultant because they think they're just offering advice or information. But the consultant role, if you click on right here, the senior and key personnel descriptions, it goes to show you that anybody within the UC should not be a consultant because that's an additional employment and it has to receive approval by the provost's office. So what we did here is put together like a matrix that lets you just see all the different areas. You can read them. And we also put the effort that's required. And also down here at the end of each one in Cayuse SP, what you can use is the role that corresponds with these particular roles.
And so I just opened it up. You'll see it's under proposals on our website. So please check it out. And also let us know if there are other tools that you want us to put up on the website, because we're here to partner with you and help you with all your proposals. Thank you.
That was it.
That's it.
Okay, I guess the issue that, or the take-home message from here, as soon as she lets me stand here, and again, different levels of consulting, there are different reporting requirements out there. For example, if a person wants to be a CEO of a company, it's the highest level of working outside university. Approvals from the department is needed, the chair, dean, and so on and so forth. Annual reporting is needed. So it's possible. That's the high end. The lower end of it is, most of you know that members of university do work for federal entities, NIH, NSF type of thing, on review of proposals. That's actually encouraged. And so that, there's no problem there. So that's generally speaking, but there's a lot of rules coming. We have no comment coming from compliance. Go ahead. You want to come here and comment? You want to come up here and talk here? So I got somebody from compliance to talk here. This is Jessica from our compliance.
Hi, everyone. Just to speak to that specifically, because I'm sure this comes up a lot with regard to working on grants for other institutions, like being the CEO of a company, doing funded research on behalf of another institution is also considered a Category 1 outside activity, and it requires reporting, like you said, to the, I think they're either using the Forms Online system or the OATS system. I'm not sure they fully transitioned to that yet, but it requires advance approval from the department chair before you undertake that activity. So it needs to go on the, like I said, it's all of that reporting takes place through academic affairs as opposed to the typical conflict of interest pipeline that we work with. But yeah, so if your PI wants to be a consultant on a grant at another institution, they need to contact academic affairs, do that reporting, and get the approval in place before doing the activity.
Thank you. That's very good clarification. And also, Jessica mentioned conflict of interest. In these areas, generally speaking, the issue is conflict of commitment. However, depending on the type of activity, both conflict of commitment and conflict of interest can come in. So again, university policy allows lots of things to be done, but you have to do it right. And you have to get, when permission is needed, you have to get permission. I hope that answers the question. Okay. Anything else? No, no more questions. Thank you. How about our colleague from procurement and contracting talk about issues related to uniform guidance and what is needed to follow there? Stephen.
Thanks.
Oh, I thought you had it. No, okay.
It was due yesterday at 2 p.m. So.
Well,
Hello, everyone.
it's on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Kobayashi. I am the Associate Director of Procurement and Contracting Services. I'm here today just to give you some information on the new procedures that we're following due to the new uniform guidance that's been put in place for federal funds and federal procurements for federally funded awards, and then the procurements that are part of those awards. So just a brief background, the uniform guidance, the Office of Management and Bureau Budgets released final uniform guidance. They were the procedures to be followed to bring the government into the 21st century. We call them uniform guidance. So they have now been implemented as of July 1st of 2018, and now we're following those. It's a little bit a change in process that the PIs have been used to. The main one is that we are now required to document and provide documentation for purchases for all federally funded purchases over $10,000. The reason why I've come here today is to you folks are the front line for the departments and the PIs. And if you could just remind them that they must follow these guidelines, they must follow the FAR regulations. It's helpful to us as we go out and ask for those documentation. The one change, the uniform guidance only applies to grants, and then federal contracts use the FAR. So for the uniform guidance, there are certain sections of FAR that they've added. And then there's also, for all orders that we have to get a debarment verification, any order over 100,000, we need an anti-lobby verification. And then any order over 250,000, we're required to get a supplier cost and profit analysis. Procurement and contract services does that for you, but the PIs sometimes don't understand why we're doing it. These are all part of the new uniform guidance. So if you could all tell your PIs and professors that these are something that are required and that are part of the documentation for all the purchases, it makes just helps the process along. And then anything over 10,000 must show competition, or they have to provide a source justification. It used to be called a sole source form. It was located on our website. But now it's been changed to source justification, and we will be asking for that if we find or when we're processing any order over $10,000. Oh, sorry.
And then, do you have resources for the department admins to help educate their faculty?
Could you repeat the question, please?
The question was, do we have resources for department admin
To help educate their faculty?
to help educate their faculty? And we do. We sort of do. It's on the UCOP Procurement Services website. We will be working shortly to direct people to that website. And if you would like, I'm available, or my team is available to go out and actually visit departments to go over some of these requirements. So make it easier for them. Any other questions? There was a webinar training done by UCOP. So you have to go to the UCOP website. What's better is if you email me directly, and then I can provide that website.
I'll read it. It'll be maybe easier.
So for the $10,000 rule, does this mean orders whose bottom line total is $10,000 or more, including, for example, and order of 10 items? So is it like a total for the purchase, or is it just a 10,000 item purchase, like one item?
It would be the total amount of $10,000. So it's one item or 10 items. If the actual order goes over $10,000, then it's subject to this.
Nothing else? Okay. Thank you. Again, the issue here is that there are certain rules and regulations that we have to follow. Uniform guidance, you remember that affected basically what we do here in sponsored programs too. Some of the rules that we had to follow changed when uniform guidance came in. You remember probably that uniform guidance really is a combination of other set of rules that we used to be subject to anyway. So they were like a set of 9, 10 different circulars. Ours were 110, 131, what else? 121. And then for other type of institutions, there were no other circulars. So there were 9, 10 of them that they were brought together, and the quote unquote uniform guidance was created. The take home from here is that, aside from the fact that the 10,000 is really the threshold that you have to know about the purchases, questions regarding those type of purchases, contracting services, procurement is here to help. And when the rule has to be followed, regardless of if the researcher knows it or not, they have to enforce it. It's that simple. Okay. So now I see that there is update from proposals by Kelly, and I was calling her earlier, I think here. Kelly is one of the associate directors, takes care of the proposals.
Thanks, Mon. Just
Sure.
trying to follow the agenda, that's all.
Sometimes, and you know that I always shuffle them around. I didn't do it today.
So I just have 3 quick announcements for you guys this morning. The first one, please be sure to complete advance accounts prior to the UC Path switch, whenever that might be. If you do that and use a correct account, you're going to be able to avoid salary transfers between the 2 systems. The second one I have for you guys is that we have new fringe benefit rates. Those are posted on our websites, and all of the budget templates on our websites have been updated to reflect those rates. So we wanted you to be aware of that. And then the third and final announcement is for preliminary proposals and letters of intent. Only the lead PI needs to be listed and actually certify the request in cayuse. And we really only need the information that is stipulated in the call by the sponsor. So we don't need a whole bunch of information beyond that. Again, specifically for preliminary proposals and letters of intent. Thank you.
That was fast. Questions on that? So UCPAT was supposed to start soon, and I'm sure you all received a notice from the Vice Chancellor talking about the fact that they postponed implementation here in Davis. But regardless of that, the rates, obviously, the new benefit rates, they became effective beginning of the year. And that's what is in the new budgets that they are, or templates, on our website, and that's what Kelly was talking about. Okay, any questions about any of those? No? Any updates from accounting? I think James is coming over. Hello, James. So how are we doing on the indirect costs?
Mike Legrand will be happy to tell you about that.
No, and Mike is not here. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, James Ringo, Contracts at Grants Accounting. I do not know where the indirect negotiation is at the moment. I don't really have a whole lot. I wanted to just piggyback and say, I agree, please. You know, jumping on those advanced accounts and getting those approved is very helpful, keeping things rolling along. The UC path delay, we'll have to wait and see where that rolls out. But the thing that I just do want to share with you is we have been adjusting some of the routing programming requirements on some of the KFS documents. And just as a heads up, we've made some changes and documents are routing through our office and our teams a little more efficiently than in the past. But one thing that we've come across here is a feature that happens associated with the account documents. So just a little tip for the day. If you are going to create an account document for a contract and grant award, the best way for you to do that is to use that link that's on the award document that says create expenditure account. Rather than creating a document completely from scratch or copying a document from some other fund, if you use the link that's on the award document or the link that's in that email that when the email comes out, if you use that link, it will send it down a smoother routing path than if you go the other way. It's not that much, but it might save a day or so of being in the routing limbo. So that's my tip for the day. And I have no other big announcements, but if you have any questions, if there's anything online, happy to reply. Oh,
Questions are coming.
of course.
Questions for you. Okay. So it says, I think we have a couple, so let's see. How is the conversion to UC Path expected to affect invoicing? How are the projects whose final invoices due across the UC Path conversion going to be handled if personnel information from UC Path is delayed?
We don't know. We are, you know, as this is rolling out, we are being involved and incorporated into the UC Path stuff. What we've mostly been charged with looking at is how the late transfer type activity was going to work. We'd be looking at how the salary cap controls are going to be in place, those types of things. The timing of as Path is implemented and I think I might have missed part of the question as far as when we get to the end of an award, or
how are projects whose final invoice is due across the UC Path conversion going to be handled if the personal information from UC Path is delayed?
Yeah, that would be a challenge. We'll work through it as best we can, and we'll have to have to the extent that we have to have that Path data available for us to our invoices. We'll have to put that. I don't have a clean answer. It's you know, Path is a big project, and we're trying to get all the key really is the reporting and getting the reports in place. And I believe that that's one of the reasons that it was decided to pause just a little bit to make sure that all the tools and everything are going to be lined up so that we don't have some of the stumbling blocks that a couple of other campuses had as they rolled out. Okay. Okay, well then I'll get this back real fast. Run away. All right.
Okay. That was the list we had on the issues that we were going to discuss. Now, you remember, this is really not supposed to be necessarily talks, you know, from this side of the podium. It is really time for you to ask questions and to see if we know the answers. So any questions from here or online in general regarding anything we do? And not, you know, we have accounting here, we have compliance here, we have the contracting services here. Any questions about anything related to our work? There's a question there. You want to get him?
So regarding proposals that previously went through and went to graduate studies for graduate students and postdocs, recently they've been requiring Cayuse SP compliance. And so I'm wondering if we're going to get new forms that maybe more match the language that graduate studies probably wants, especially from the postdoc side since they're unionized. And sometimes the awards are a little bit finicky in terms of, because they're like fellowships and so you can't transfer them. There's some language in the 105A that it basically, the chair says that if the project director can't complete the project, it gets transferred, which doesn't work for some of those fellowships. So I'm wondering if we're going to get like more generalized or very much more specific forms for that graduate studies transition into Cayuse.
Okay, let's see. I'll try a little bit, and then maybe I can get help from our colleagues in proposals or awards. Generally speaking, I heard you talking about 105A specifically. I am most familiar with that. I can answer hopefully questions regarding that. But generally speaking, the different parts of the campus are running their proposals and awards through Cayuse, and hopefully there would be more entities joining. Clinical trials from med school are in there, and you are focusing on graduate studies. So they whatever document they need to run through the system, that's what graduate studies needs. But you were talking about 105A. 105A has to do with who can be a PI on a project. 105 talks, it's PPM 230-02 that talks about who can be the PI. And there is a list of job basic classifications that they have automatic PI-ship. A postdoc is not automatically a PI. So if a postdoc wants to be a PI of research that typically we handle, they have to get exception to be a PI. And a part of that exception for a postdoc, now we are focusing on research, which comes through our system. A part of being a requirement of getting exception to be a PI, aside from the fact that the chair of the department has to say that, yes, that's okay for this person to be a PI and ask for it. And in some cases, some colleges and schools, the dean has to approve it. So, and it comes to us, and I am the last signature on that form. Now, if we are talking about somebody other than a student or postdoc, that's all we need, the chair, and if the dean is needed, the dean, and it comes to me. If it is a postdoc or a student, then there is another signature, that's what you are talking about, I believe, that says that if there is for a student or a postdoc, an academic senate member has to also take responsibility to finish the project if that student or postdoc doesn't finish it. So it's all about research. Now, what you're talking about, if a postdoc is getting some sort of fellowship or whatever, technically speaking, they are not a PI. So technically speaking, there is no need to go use that form. But if the office who is managing that is saying that they need that form, I don't have anything to say or add to that. If that's what they need, they have to fill out the form. If I am supposed to sign that document to say that they can be a quote unquote PI, that's the requirement. An academic senate member has to stand behind them. The reason for that was that actually there is history of that. We went through a lot of discussions on this. I have been here too long, more than 10 years ago. And that was a requirement that academic senate wanted at the time. Now, they might have changed what they need. As long as nothing is coming to us saying that they changed something, we would continue having that requirement. And frankly, there is no reason for us to go to them and ask for if they want to change anything. If they want to change anything, they can order us to change something. But as is, that's what we have. So this, to summarize, if it is not research, if a postdoc is, I don't know, getting stipend or something, I am really not expert in that area. I can't say a whole lot about that. Technically, under university policy, that's not an activity that needs a PI if they are getting a check in their own name or something. So I don't know. Elisa, do you have anything more that you think from proposal side we can talk about?
I think what you're seeing a lot is that since graduate studies for their external fellowships is using that system, School of Med is also asking for the PI exception to be routed, right? And those awards vary greatly. So sometimes they're called fellowships, but indeed they're research projects, right? They're funding for other things besides stipends and salaries. They're actually running a project. And in those cases, we have to use those forms. And I know you said the board in reality might not be able to be transferred, but it's an academic senate requirement, so that signature is still required.
And those forms be modified from their state as they are currently to allow for language that is more inclusive of those fellowships that can't be transferred?
I don't think it's really an issue, in my opinion. So you just need an academic senate to back that behind that, and that's an academic senate rule. It's not a rule we make up. So that signature is going to be required regardless. Yeah. So I would say just get the signature and send it through, and yeah. So we
And
can't really
again,
get around that requirement.
the reason mainly behind all of them, I mean, the reason that they went this way years back had to do with safeguarding situations that the postdoc gets an appointment somewhere else and lives in the middle of whatever it is, or a student completes their work and maybe even they transfer to a different university in the middle of their work. So the awards, as long as the awards are to, remember, awards are to regions. That's where we are focusing on. If the award is to the regent, university has somehow completed their obligations, regardless of who's the PI. In situations that the award is not to the region, technically there shouldn't be any need to fill out that form even. But if the entity who is, and I'll give you an example, by the way, on that, entity who is providing, enforcing whatever it is, they say that they need, that form has to be completed. I don't have any say on that. And if that form has to be completed, it has to be the way we have it right now. The example that I want to tell you was that there are situations that internal money of university is provided as scholarship, for travel, $1,000 travel, and so on and so forth. Years back, however, it was the office that makes that money available. They decided that they wanted whoever applies would have PI status. That's their call. It's not my call. So, but the part that if they want that and they want to use our form, the form has to be used the way it is. So hopefully that helps. And there are situations that for IRB, for example, a student or postdoc needs to be a PI, and IRB requires that, and the form has to be filled out, and for the exact same reason. So I am not sure changing the form at this point would be something we can do.
Hand this over to Elisa. We had one comment that I think would be good to pass on to grad studies. We don't have anyone here from grad studies today, but someone suggested maybe instead of using the PI exception form, grad studies could require that the mentor be added to the investigator research team tab instead of to get their approval. So that's something that could be passed along.
But yeah, but I'm not sure if just, again, the issue is that if it boils down to the postdoc being allowed to be a quote unquote PI, the form is the way it is.
I was going to say, you can also look at it like that person may not take over the project, but they're responsible for seeing it as completed. So maybe they identify another person to complete that fellowship, or it just who's going to manage the money or close out the account once that person is not responsible for it. It's just somebody else taking responsibility that has approval to be a PI.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, anything else? These are good discussions. So we should have more of these type of questions for all of us to learn. If not, it's 9:35, 9:36 now. So, okay, thank you very much. See you next month.